I wasn't looking for anything when I noticed it. One detail that didn't belong, like a seam showing through fresh paint. Not a style choice, not a renovation quirk, not coincidence, just a mark. And once you see one, you start seeing more. Patterns hiding in plain sight, the kind you walk past every day because you were trained to call them normal, until the place feels slightly wrong. 7 of them, scattered across the streets you think you know, each one whispering the same quiet question. Are you sure you're living in your city's history? I'm not going to ask you to believe me. I'm going to ask you to look. Because the moment we turn this into a belief system, it stops being an investigation and starts being a team sport. And that's where reality gets lost. So here are the rules. Rule 1. This is not me proving Tartaria. I'm not handing you a conclusion. I'm handing you a trail. A proof trail is different. It's something you can walk yourself, on your own streets, with your own eyes, without needing permission from anyone to start. Rule 2. Anything that feels off gets written down. Not because it's magical, not because it's secret, because it's a data point. And next to that data point, you put the clean, official explanation. Simple, neat, contained. Except we don't stop there. We ask whether that explanation actually closes the loop or whether it just ends the conversation. Rule 3. You become the investigator. Take a photo. Mark the spot in whatever way you can. Compare angles. Compare time of day. Compare what it looks like up close versus what it looks like when you step back. Then, when you can, ask a local question and record the answer exactly as it's given. No editing, no dramatizing, no filling in blanks. And rule 4 is the ethical one. We don't decide first and search later. We follow the mark, we follow the pattern, and we let the pattern either hold up or collapse under scrutiny. If you're watching this and thinking, fine, but what am I supposed to notice? Good. That tension is the point. Don't soften it. Don't explain it away. Hold it. Because once you start cataloging these anomalies, your city stops feeling like a backdrop and starts feeling like a document. And if you find one, drop in the comments so we can compare notes. Look, ask, record. And if you catch yourself wanting to jump ahead, pause and ask one thing. Why is it here? Specifically here, and why does it repeat? If this is all just aesthetics, the first clue will break that. Clue 1 is the thing that feels too big for the story it's sitting inside. You're walking past it like it's background, but your body registers it first. The scale, the finish, the weight of intention. The official explanation is always the same. Style, renovation, a wealthy patron, a different era. Simple, neat, contained, except your eyes keep snagging on details that don't match the function. Too clean, too consistent, too overbuilt. So here's how you look. Stand close enough that the structure fills your vision. Then step back until your body fits in the frame. Use yourself as the measuring stick. Ask one question. Who needed this at this level right here? And then ask the sharper one. Why does it feel engineered, not merely decorated? Clue 2 is what happens when you start seeing the same handwriting in places that aren't supposed to share an author. A curve that repeats, a ratio that repeats, a motif that repeats. Not once, not twice. Again and again, like someone used a template and forgot you'd notice. A tour guide will tell you it's just taste. Okay. Then why does taste obey the same rules in different neighborhoods that don't share a budget? And this is where people sabotage themselves, because they spot one pretty detail and they immediately crown it a sign. Don't. If it's isolated, it's noise. If it repeats across unrelated streets, it becomes a pattern. That's the difference. Here's your checklist. Look at entrances. Do they feel oversized for the traffic they serve? Look at windows. Do their proportions seem built for a different interior than the one you see today? Look at foundations. Do the baselines suggest the building is wearing a newer skin? Look for symmetry where it's unnecessary. Look for curves where straight lines would be cheaper. Look for craftsmanship in places no one stands long enough to admire. Then do the boring part. Photograph it head on. Photograph it from the side. Photograph the element your eye can't stop returning to. Move one block, Do it again, because the moment you get 3 matches, the city stops being random. It starts being written. Clue 3 is the seam you can't unsee once you know what a seam looks like. A window that's been bricked in, a doorway that's been framed over, an arch that sits too low, as if the street rose and the building didn't. The official explanation will be updates, safety, modernization. Simple, neat, contained. Except it leaves a question sitting there like a stone in your shoe. Why cover it? Why not remove it? Why keep the outline, the geometry, the suggestion that something used to open and close? Because that's what it feels like. A curtain being drawn, not to destroy a thing, but to hide its shape. A wall built to quiet the question. And here's where it gets stranger, because it doesn't stop at what you can see at eye level. Clue 4 lives in the parts of the city that aren't meant to be noticed. Vents that breathe out of the sidewalk, grates that hum when you stand over them, metal hatches that sit flush like punctuation marks, service doors that look like they lead nowhere, corridors that exist only in the negative space between public and operational. Not decorative, not charming, functional, quiet, persistent. So ask the questions the city doesn't want you to ask. Why does this backside repeat? Why does it show up where people gather, but never invites them in? Why are there so many ways for a place to exhale, and so few signs telling you what's underneath? Now make it practical. Go to an older part of town, anywhere you'd call historic without thinking. Walk 1 loop, take 10 photos. Not the postcard shots, the seams, the covers, the grates, the doors. Then pick 3 points and circle them in your camera roll. Write 1 sentence for each, what it is, where it sits, and what feels off about it. That's it. Then come back at night. Same route, same points. Don't imagine anything. Just observe. Listen for changes. Watch how light falls across the patched parts. Notice what becomes louder when the streets get quieter. Okay, assume it's all just repairs. Then why does the next clue live on paper? Clue 5 is where the city stops hiding in stone and starts hiding in language. You read a street sign, a district name, a neighborhood label, and your brain paints a picture. Then you look up, and the picture doesn't match what's in front of you. The name suggests one thing, the ground delivers another. That mismatch is the signal. The official explanation is that names are just leftovers. Old habits, local color, paperwork that never caught up, simple, neat, contained. Except cities are ruthless about labels when they want to be. They redraw, they rebrand, they rename. So when a name lingers, you have to ask why it was allowed to linger. Here's how you hunt it without inventing a story. First, look for names that imply scale, words that sound bigger than the block they're attached to. Second, look for borders that don't feel physical, lines where everything on one side shifts. Street layout, building rhythm, even the way foot traffic moves, while nothing in the landscape explains the cut. Third, look for dead ends that feel deliberate, a road that points somewhere, then stops, as if the destination was removed. And here's the strangest part. The map doesn't just describe, it selects, it frames, it decides what counts as a place, which means your job is to compare frames. Pull up 2 maps from different times side by side. Don't chase dates, chase differences, a label that moves, a name that shrinks, a boundary that slides, a feature that vanishes. Screenshot it, save it. Write 1 line, what changed and where. Then do the disciplined thing most people skip. Note what didn't change, because the absence of difference is data too. Now take your list back outside. Stand where the map says one thing and the street feels like another. Look around. What story is the name trying to keep alive? And what story is the ground refusing to tell? And don't rush to explain it away. Just hold the mismatch. If you found a name in your city that feels like it's describing a place that isn't there anymore, drop it in the comments. Let's compare the missing pieces. Clue 6 isn't a secret machine. It's a forgotten alphabet. Technical details that keep showing up, over and over in places that are supposed to be unrelated. A bracket, a pin, a channel, a module. Something that sits right on the border between ornament and function, like it's wearing a costume. The official explanation is always the same. It's old. It's decorative. It's just how they built things back then. Simple, neat, contained. Except old is not an answer. Old is a label. An answer has to tell you what it does and why the same shape keeps reappearing. So here's the method. Don't stare at the front of the building. The part designed to be admired. Go to the back, the basement stairwell, the roof access, the service hallway, the utility door that looks like it isn't meant for you. That's where the city stops performing and starts operating. Take a close photo, then take another from farther back, then one with a reference object, your hand, a water bottle, anything ordinary that gives scale. No measuring tape required, just context. If you can, shoot it in different light. Morning, noon, night. So shadows can't hide the geometry or erase the edges entirely today. Then ask the person who actually has keys, security, maintenance, a manager, what is this? And write down the answer exactly as you hear it, even if it's vague, even if it's dismissive. Now do it again somewhere else. Different neighborhood, different building type, different story. And when you see the same kind of detail repeat, same placement, same proportions, same relationship to vents, doors, drains, cables, don't assign a function. Assign a question. Why this shape? Why here? Why everywhere? Because if it's just decoration, why is it always sitting where something has to work? Why tucked into corners nobody frames in photos? Why bolted, sealed, vented, routed, treated like it matters? This is how a pattern starts to emerge. One odd detail becomes three becomes seven, and suddenly you're not looking at quirks. You're looking at a system. And at clue 7, I'm going to show you how to turn 20 scattered images into one coherent pattern you can actually test. Which brings us back to the beginning. Not a theory you're asked to swallow, but a trail you're asked to follow. Because once you've seen enough of these anomalies, they stop feeling like isolated quirks and start behaving like a signature. Too quiet, too consistent, too carefully left behind, in plain sight. Here's the pattern, laid out like an investigator's board. First, scale that doesn't match the story it's supposed to serve. Then, the same motifs repeating where you wouldn't expect coordination. Then, the stitches, doors bricked, windows framed, openings sitting too low, as if the city rewrote its skin instead of peeling the old layer away. Then, the hidden circulation, the vents and grates and service corridors that suggest the important part is the part you're not meant to notice. Then, the maps where a street name promises one thing and the ground delivers another. And clue 7 is simple: simultaneity, not in time, in presence. The same category of wrongness appearing across multiple neighborhoods inside one city. Now, how do you build a safe alternate timeline without lying to yourself? You don't declare one. You propose competing explanations, and you write down what would kill them. Hypothesis A, renovation and reuse, explains the stitches, the lowered openings, the mismatched scale. Fine. Then the test is, can you find a chain of records that accounts for the changes cleanly, end to end, without gaps? Hypothesis B, style explains the repeating motifs. Fine. Then the test is, does that style also explain the placement, the function-adjacent details, the parts nobody photographs? Hypothesis C, coincidence explains the map mismatch. Fine. Then the test is, does coincidence survive when you log every mismatch and every place nothing changes? This is what your case file needs. 3 things, always: photos, field notes, what felt off, what didn't, and an open question you refuse to answer too early, because the moment you write a conclusion, you stop looking. And the moment you stop looking, the pattern stops forming. Except it doesn't stop. It just waits. If we ever get clean sources, then we earn the right to put dates on this. Until then, you're not chasing a myth, you're chasing consistency, because this isn't random anymore. Or at least, it doesn't feel random anymore. I can't prove Tartaria to you. Not here. Not with what we have on the table. No archives spread out, no dates pinned down, no names to lean on. And if anyone tells you they can, in a single video, they're selling you the feeling of certainty, not the discipline of looking. The official explanation is always going to be coincidence, renovation, style. Simple, neat, contained. Except your eyes don't live inside neat boxes, and that discomfort is exactly the point. What I can prove is the smaller, and honestly more dangerous, you've started to notice. You have a filter now, a checklist, 7 ways the city speaks when the story stays quiet. And once you run that checklist even once, you don't unsee it. Not fully. So let's make this useful. 3 layers. Practical, repeatable. First, comment one sign you found, just one. No speeches. One detail that made you stop mid-step. Second, if you can, post a photo, a sketch, or a short clip. Anything that preserves what your eyes saw before your brain explains it away. Third, subscribe, because this only works if we keep comparing, correcting, and tightening the method. When real sources show up, that's when claims earn the right to exist. Until then, we stay honest. We stay observational. And make your comment readable. Use this exact 3-line format. City, sign number, photo, or description. That's it. No extra mythology, no they did this, no grand finale. Just something another person can walk to, look at, and judge for themselves. If you can't find anything in your city, say that too. Because absence is also information. A clean street with no stitches, no mismatches, no repeats, no hidden seams. That's a result. Log it. Don't bury it. I'll pin the clearest cases, the ones with angles, context, and a question that doesn't try to answer itself. Because once you see the pattern, you start noticing where the pattern breaks, and that break is where questions live. And here's the question I'm leaving you with. If history is exactly what they say it is, why does the city keep telling a different story? Look closer, write it down, and come back here. Who benefits from a simple story?